Should be Wilco versus Daniel Correas.
Perfect. Great matchup.
Yeah, Daniel was recently on the L5R winning World Cup team, Spain.
Spain won. That's interesting.
Yeah, Spain won the L5R World Cup. Spain versus Austria, actually. Greece let me down. It was supposed to be Spain versus Greece. They were the two favorites, and Austria pulled the upset. It was pretty awesome. All right, so we're live, so we can start talking. Looks like for those of us joining us, we have. We'll look at the. I guess we'll look at the from left to right. So we'll look at the Lannister list.
Sure.
So this looks like it's just a Lannister Shadows deck, but it's eschewed the other agendas for HRD.
So I suppose the upside here is that you can actually marshal some characters without losing the economy tempo there. Plus, if you're guaranteeing your bowels triggers, you're sort of ostensibly replacing the reduction from Kingdom of Shadows. My concern is that in a typical Shadows deck, obviously you get access to all the other
Shadows characters, right?
non-Lannister Shadows characters.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of those decks just play 3 bowels, and oftentimes, you have like a 60 or 70% chance to have bowels on turn 1 anyway if you're mulliganing for it. So it's definitely an interesting decision. And is it who's playing what? Let's see.
Wilco's playing the HRD deck.
Wilco is playing the intro. Okay, very interesting. Are you in the game on Iron Throne? I need to get there.
I'm not. I'll watch it right now, or I'll go in.
I don't think they're starting for a few minutes, but I just was curious. Okay, cool. Oh, looks like they might be having issues. So yeah, okay, guess the game is up.
They haven't started yet. All right. So anything else that really stands out to you in this Shadows list? Obviously, it's trying to use the new Tyrion as effectively as possible. That's like one of the huge advantages to playing, or the huge points to play Lannister, right?
Right. It also has the recurable Lanni shadow event, a very large shadow, which I haven't seen played at all
3x.
yet. Yeah, 3 times reduces the cost of the next card by 3, and if you have a scheme plot revealed, you get to return it.
How many schemes do we have? We have Forgotten Plans. We have
Varys's Riddle.
So 2 schemes.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah, I think nothing really standing out as far as the character composition, other than perhaps the inclusion of a few sparrows. But yeah, obviously heavily leaning on the new Tyrion.
We can quickly head over to the Night's Watch Wars to Come deck. Notably, the Lannister deck's restricted card is 2x trade routes, which is not surprising, but that is indeed the restricted card. And then this Night's Watch deck has decided to take Wars to Come, and we have 2x calling the banners and 3x the Crow is a tricksy bird. I know you were really enjoying playing this card.
I am a big I am a big Trixie Bird fan.
we do also have 2x Varys' Riddle, just like trying to get people.
Love it. I
Oh,
mean,
actually, it's less of a got you with Trixie Bird, right? Because you can
exactly.
set
It's
it
really
up.
great because you can set up the Trixie Birds for value. You also, it's a fairly safe open in this meta where you have some obscenely large number of decks that are opening with at the gates.
That is
He
so.
does.
I will say that Varus's riddle probably gains more value in this open list format than it would in a normal format, right? Where if you
Yes,
know your
absolutely.
opponent's econ plot is at the gates, you get to basically say, I know you're gonna open this. Obviously, then you go to the next level where your opponent can also just be like, okay, I'll open something else.
Right.
Although, what is even the open for the Lannister deck? Do they just open Riddle or Marched? I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they have a very obvious opener. So I guess we'll find out. They may have been preparing under the same assumption that everyone's going to be opening at the gates. So I'll just riddle, and I'll have basically like one extra gold, and I'll win initiative guaranteed. So we could just see like riddle into riddle here, um, potentially.
That doesn't do anything, right? They're just 5 gold like
No,
plots then.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So we do see the 4 gold, pretty easy 4 gold setup met here for Lannister, and then Night's Watch had a 5 card setup with Halder, Shadow Tower Mason, an Econ location, and a card in Shadows, which is probably Janos. Wait, it's not.
No Janos in the deck. So recruit from the dungeons, it looks like, is probably what it is, which I
During a
haven't seen
challenge,
played.
are the defending player. Interesting. Oh, this card is from the latest pack. That's why I haven't seen it.
Hmm. Okay, so we have Riddle into Here to Serve. Unfortunately, it looks like
Oh, he did get a
we are.
Maester.
Oh yeah, we are playing the Citadel Archivist.
Citadel
Nice,
Archivist.
the one of. All
That's
right, so
pretty
we got
great.
some value. We got some value there.
That's actually really funny. Like normally you'd be like, "Oh man, I missed," but then you're like, "I got you, easy, Maester."
So anything spicy about this builders list? The recruits from the dungeon.
It's a little bit more aggressive than I think I've seen normal builders lists. Like we have ranging parties, or not. I guess normal by normal I mean basically what I see Daryl play.
Yeah, which is what sometimes just what I build him. But yeah, definitely not as low curve as I think the American builders lists tend to be. The inclusion of core and half hand and 3 ranging party, plus one, notably only a single Yorin.
Yeah, it's interesting that they decided to play like one of this card in like ranging parties instead, right?
Hmm.
And only one copy of Bound for the Wall. I feel like Daniel was just like, I don't want to play with these broken cards, so I'll just only play one.
Right.
I'll make it fair. Like I remember Daryl was just like talking about playing builders, and he's like, "Should I be playing Bound for the Wall?" And then like he's just like, "I think I should just be playing it because it's busted."
Oh yeah. And then that turned into just. I mean, it's turned into just playing Night's Watch Sea of Blood, I think, instead for a lot of the Night's Watch loyalists.
Night's Watch Steel Blood has, I think, is the most represented deck. I think I'm gonna try and get some stats for agendas and like decks later on from the tournament since I have all this
Sure.
data.
Yeah, I know Yvonne, who's also streaming currently, has been doing a lot of examining, sort of like the faction, the agenda choices, and also
I know
the
he did a
restricted
breakdown
list
on
cards.
the number of mystery nights,
Right. He was doing them
which
for every faction. When I saw, he was just talking about the various agenda choices and the various restricted list choices for each deck.
yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me, I didn't expect to see this much Sea of Blood, and then I also didn't expect to see this much Valyrian Steel.
Hmm.
There was definitely a lot more Valyrian Steel than I was expecting, which is awesome because that agenda is super cool.
Right.
So we do see the ranging
So
party come down.
right, Daniel plays the Gates of the Moon, which is a little awkward here as he's going first. Gonna give Wilco an extra
It's basically a
gold.
2 gold swing for the turn, right? Because you have to pay what you
Yes,
spend one to play it, and then you give one.
right. Then plays the ranging party. That's it. No wall this turn, so just kind of gonna be playing a normal game here for the first turn for Correas. On
Francis
Wilco's
Francis saying we
side,
had 8 Valyrian, but only used
yeah,
3 of them.
sure.
That's pretty
Yeah,
great.
I know that the US team bandied about quite a few Valyrian steel lists, and then none of them quite got there in the end. All right, so pretty simple marshaling phase for Wilco. Just another gold road and onto the challenges we go. 2 cards in shadows, 5 gold after the gold road activations. Um, Daniel's going to get frisky here with the military challenge. Going to force Wilco's hand to either have something to defend with, perhaps a Robert Strong, or just this.
Robert Strong is a little awkward though because Maester Aemon saves the ranging party.
Exactly, yeah. Robert Strong does defend the challenge, but you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
The trigger doesn't. You don't buy a lot with the trigger, other than perhaps maybe the fact that you're not going to get intrigued this turn.
That's not nothing, right?
It's not nothing.
You
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 also
you
get to
also get you also get to poke your intrigue in there because you have this Maester.
exactly. Otherwise, you're just like completely losing the value from the Varys' riddle. You do get to trigger your bowels here. Looks like
Probably draws a card. Yeah.
yep. Looks like they don't have anything to do with this, the 2 gold. So
This
this
is where
seems
like
fine.
the economy from Kingdom of Shadows like is
Really helps.
is
Yeah.
really helps. And like you said, you just play 3 bowels, right? And like eventually you'll see it.
Hmm.
Like I would say HRD is more efficient if you don't see your bowels like in the first 3 turns probably or something close to that.
Very interesting. They choose not to defend with the Robert Strong. They do lose the Maester there. It's not doing a whole lot, but I mean, you're getting in there with an intrigue challenge if you defend there. I
And
don't
I feel like an intrigue
really
challenge is worth more than the military challenge here.
right. I don't see
Like you're just gonna kill one of the reducers here, right? Like that's all you're
exactly.
doing.
I don't see a huge value in getting the military off. You're still losing dominance, but oh, I see. Poison coin. That makes more sense.
Couldn't he
This
have
makes
done
a
that
lot
with the
more
other?
sense.
Couldn't he have done that with the Maester?
No, because it
Oh,
has
the
to be a
attacking character
shadows
has to have
character.
shadows. Gotcha.
Yep, and you also have to be attacking, so both ways. So that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, so we get to kill Maester Aemon.
Yeah.
Did he not get to kill anyone else? Oh, he chose Maester Aemon. Smart.
Yep. Yep. Kind of awkward to do it on a military challenge,
I,
but it is.
I'm always used to
It
people
is
doing that on intrigue challenges against me, so I'm not. I always
sure.
forget. I always forget.
It's definitely preferable to make your military challenge first and then trigger poison coin on subsequent challenges, but that was not really an option for Wilco.
This is good though, right? Like Maester Aemon is a really annoying character. Having him out of the way now at least opens up some other lines of play.
Absolutely. So plot decisions here. Definitely looking for the wall out of the builders list. I could see maybe a blind Varys' riddle, or potentially, calling the banners isn't going to get you to Trixie Bird since your opponent only has 1 character. On the other side, not a lot of great options.
You can flip. I think flipping Riddle here is pretty safe because I think your opponent's gonna flip trade routes.
Yeah, I can see Wilco playing trade routes.
Yep,
So
and we see exactly that. Like just based on what your opponent could flip.
right,
Yeah, Nightmare in chat pointing out that he gets to get rid of Oh, this is sick. He gets the Trixie Bird because of the Varys' riddle.
yep, that's lined up very nicely for Daniel. Probably forcing.
Do you just force the other trade routes and then riddle that?
Yeah, apparently Forgotten Plans is what Daniel wanted.
Interesting.
Uh,
What could that potentially blank though? That he cares about?
Rationing is all I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Not much, to be honest.
I would think, or maybe you could force your opponent to flip like marched, and then like you could. Yeah, like imagine if he had made him flip Marched here, and if he whittles him down to 2 characters, he can riddle the Marched, because you just have so many more characters.
Yeah, Forgotten Plans. It seems like one of the weaker options, but we'll see if Daniel has a good use for it.
So Daniel racking up 11 gold to start right now. Vault's gonna rebuy his vault basically.
Unfortunately, yeah, the win revealed triggers that Daniel can get value off of are pretty, you know, unexciting out of Wilco's
I mean,
deck.
trade routes is still a lot, really nice. You could just get a huge amount of
Sure.
econ, right? Because you get the 5 plus the trade routes trigger instead of 2. So we do see the half hand come down.
Not particularly scary on this board state, as Wilco doesn't have any non-unique characters in play and has a dupe on the Robert Strong.
And here comes Shadow Cersei, ready to rip the hand apart. This is
Now we have
where
something
Daniel not playing a lot of card draw in his plot line could prove problematic.
right, and notably no Three Finger Hob in play yet. Oh, interesting.
Oh, you know what? I know why he's no he has Daniel has a barring the gates that we were missing. So he's making him flip the blank plot now, so that way when he flips barring, it'll at least work.
Yeah, okay, I can see that being effective.
So we see Airy come down, a card I didn't know existed until CT gave it to me. It was in my Valyrian Steel deck.
It's definitely a card from the days of yore.
So discards Milk of the Poppy at random.
Yeah, that's
Is there
pretty good.
is there a reason that you wouldn't have milked Cersei here?
Well, other than the fact that Cersei came out of shadows.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, I see it. That's my bad. On Iron Throne, it's a little bit the like notifications are very kind of subtle, so it just kind of happens.
That's true. It's also a lot harder when you're not getting like window notifications in game, like when you're just a spectator. It's a
That's
little bit
fair.
more
Yeah.
obvious when someone's making a challenge at you when you're actually participating.
So here comes a big intrigue challenge coming through. Really awkward to have this holder and not really have any fuel. Kind of I guess this Night's Watch Wars deck just feels very. It feels like it wants to be Sea of Blood and also wants to be Builders. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I see 3 Dragon Glass daggers in it also, and like you're eschewing certain things like Practice Blade.
Yeah, I suppose calling it builders is maybe a little bit anachronistic. It's not really.
Yeah, it's not really Builders, I guess, right? Because
No,
it's just it's a Night's Watch mid range deck that is also playing the wall. Is how I would
right.
describe it. So we see a big military challenge coming in, 10-8. Use the duped Robert.
Both players playing both Valors, so a lot of access to resets for these players.
Hey, thanks for the sub, Alejandro. I really appreciate it. Shameless plug. If you have Twitch Prime and haven't given it to somebody this month, I will gladly take it.
And Daniel is sneakily up 7-0 here, even though they are out of resources. As we said, they do have that recruit from the dungeons and shadows, 1 card in hand.
Daniel can flip exchange of information here because he knows his
Yes.
opponent is gonna flip secret schemes.
Yeah. Or rather, Forgotten Plans.
Forgotten Plan. Sorry.
No, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. They also have the Ari, which is slow and a bit clunky, but is sort of an engine on all on its own.
Looks like that is what Daniel has chosen to do. Has returned Airy to his hand.
I just got a message from Alejandro saying the sub was not intentional but well worth it.
You know what? I appreciate you, so I appreciate you more, Alejandro. I'll make sure to grab you a beer at Thronstoberfest. Get you your $5 worth.
And just as we predicted, we've got the exchange of information lining up here. So what does Wilco need to do to stabilize at this
So
point, we feel?
Daniel gets Shadow Tower Mason, Dragon Glass Dagger, Rhyme Gate. I don't know what this card does.
It's basically it's like it saves a location from being discarded.
Oh, okay. Oh, you can just kneel it too, so it's like a repeatable save against locations.
Right.
What? I feel like I haven't seen. Is this like from the new pack? Yeah, it's from
That
the
is
last
from the
pack,
new
the
pack.
latest pack.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
That is indeed a cool card. Like obviously, save your wall. It saves things from political disaster. Quite nice.
So this is sort of one of the problems I can see with the Lannister, like the mono Lanni Shadows variant, where you don't have access to other Shadows cards. Is your game plan is pretty reliant on just on outvaluing your opponent with Cersei triggers and Tyrion, um, but it's just you know if your opponent can sort of weather that storm, um, it seems like maybe hard to close with.
Yeah, I
Back
can
when
see that.
the Shadows uh, mechanic was brought back to second edition, I know a lot of American players were trying to make Shadows deck work early on, and just that was always the issue. Is just you have this engine that takes a while to get online. You're outvaluing your opponent, but in the meantime, your opponent has gained quite a bit of ground in the power department.
Yeah, I don't know. If it feels a little bit tough. It feels a little bit forced almost. You know what I mean? Like trying to just shove a shadows deck and then not use Kingdom of Shadows. Like it feels like you're just trying to force it. We do see a Craven on Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
Aerie comes back. Oh, Three Finger Hob is perfect in this attrition battle.
Yeah, we didn't mention, but the exchange of information didn't find an event. There's only 4 in Correas's list, and one of them has already been played. But it did get a Shadow Tower Mason, a Dragon Glass Dagger, and that Rhyme Gate that we were talking about.
With the
Depending,
Dragon Glass Dagger being played, the Shadow Tower Mason is now a Tricon.
yep. And we also have some Craster, or rather some Halder fodder.
Yeah, with the
Now with the
Craven and the
Craven, and,
Dagger.
indeed.
So basically now we're getting into. So we just casted a game that had like both players had Wildfire Assault, right? That was their only reset. This is the opposite, where both players have both double Valor.
Right.
So like I could imagine if we see a what's it called? If we see a Clever Feint at the end of this turn,
Yes.
then I think that Daniel will probably play like Daniel could have flipped Dohyrus into like a Morgulus potentially.
Right.
So we see Wilco cashing in the King's Gate for 2 cards. Maybe fishing for a Clever Feint, but definitely on the back foot in terms of board state here. All his characters being unique right now is pretty nice against this core and a half hand. Oh, Speaking of Night's Watch cards, I just remembered this really sick play at the event in Kentucky. I played against Night's Watch Sea of Blood, and I triggered Bound for the Wall, and I hit my opponent's Yorin and took another one of their characters. It was it was probably one of the most like backbreaking plays I've seen
Right,
recently.
because Yorin shouldn't be a marshaling a reaction to being marshaled.
Correct, yeah, it's just when he enters play. It was just like, what is happening? And then like after my opponent like was forced to clear the board, I then got to marshal my own Yorin.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but some of the late stage design decisions are definitely suspect.
Yeah, yeah, I think suspect is a good way to describe it. So we see an intrigue challenge coming through, stealthing Airy. We did see one copy of Dolores Ed get discarded. Do we have another copy? No, that is the one copy. So no Ed shenanigans coming through. You could defend with the Shadow Tower Mason and then kneel one of your attachments to make it win.
Yep.
You could defend with Hob if you wanted and kneel both to win.
Those both seem like okay options depending on what you have in your hand if it's worth protecting. Um, yeah, I will say Wilco did a lot of maneuvering to get the Maester Aemon off the board, and then subsequently hasn't really leveraged that play into anything.
It's like kind of hard though, just because the Night's Watch board has just been so big.
Right. Plus with Trixie Bird, your hand has been forced for the last plot phase, and so next turn really is the first opportunity that Wilco will have had to play a reset of any variety. I think winning the intrigue challenge is pretty important for Wilco here, as a reset almost certainly has to be coming. And with the wars list notably not playing a return to the fields, which I have to question, not only because well you're wars and you have 10 plots, but also there's three crows Trixie Bird in the list, which feel like
Oh, right, you can just always line it up.
added utility to having that plot
Yeah,
in
you
your
can
plot
just
line.
always line it up against an opposing Valor. That is definitely one of the most backbreaking feelings when you flip Valor and your opponent returns you, and you're just like, I want to lose right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's taken some pretty ridiculous printings, cards like Yorin and Bound for the Wall, to take attrition up out of the gutters with the printing of Return to the Fields. It really has done a number for the mid range decks. It just speaks to how strong Yorin and Bound for the Wall are. That
I mean,
uh,
are those cards is so like obviously the common deck right now for that play those cards is Sea of Blood. Is Sea of Blood an attrition deck?
no, but also Night's Watch Wolf plays it as well, and that
Oh
is
sure,
most
yeah.
strong.
Night's Watch Wolf is really insane in his attrition game, with
Yeah,
with all the recruit effects plus big wall like it, or I guess that's a recruit effect, but like all the recruit effects and all of the sacrifice and like Froso and stuff, like it's really oppressive. Or it can feel that way. We did recently just see one version of it lose to Greyjoy Prince, but they didn't see the big wall, and they're bound for the wall hit Big Vic, so like it's hard to feel bad.
sure. So we've got a big power challenge coming in here for Daniel. Um, Looks like just a chump defense, but Daniel has gone to 10 power here, and we've got 7 gold in Wilco's gold pool that haven't been used this turn. And now it seems like challenges are coming to a close. I am left wondering what happened to this turn for Wilco. Um, Perhaps something will still yet happen.
What? Let's see. I'm trying to think of like what cards they could be. It could be Tyrion put another card into shadows and then Clever Feint, but that seems pretty inefficient. So, oh, cat's paw. What are you gonna do with this cat's paw, though? Is the real question. Do you bounce three finger hob here?
You return your penny here. It seems.
What? I don't understand. I feel like I'm missing something.
My guess is we're gonna see Iron Bank at some point this turn instead of Clever Feint, leading into the reset.
Okay, so you Iron Bank Cersei then?
Would be my guess.
And we see Haldermath coming through.
Yep.
I guess if you're not gonna
Haldermath
win Dom, you
usually
might as well block like
wins.
this and hope your opponent and see if your opponent forgets.
Oh, and then the penny gets discarded.
that's that's
I
really
mean,
good.
if your plan is that you're going to be resetting, you're just definitely not penny cat's pawing back some character for your opponent.
Yeah, that's fair. Like that line of play also makes it where Daniel should see this, right? Like this is the warning signs are going up.
Yes. I mean, Daniel's still going to be in pretty strong position. He's going to get to use the RE trigger at the end of the turn, and still trigger three finger hob. And like you said, if he cares to keep, I really don't think Valor Daharis is necessary. I mean, there's only one copy of Halder in the deck. You can, I suppose, if you really don't want the core and half hand and the three finger hob to die, then I suppose Daharis makes sense. And those are both 3-ofs in Correas' deck. But so far, putting on quite a clinic of how to win with sort of a mid-range Night's Watch deck that plays the wall but doesn't need the wall to win, like so
Yeah,
many
it's
of the
like
Night's
just kind.
Watch
It
decks
feels
do.
like almost like a backup plan, right?
Yeah, it feels very similar to decks of Daniel's countryman Adrian Caperstone, who back in the day used to play like Night's Watch Winter and sort of these more aggressive builds, but also played the wall as sort of like alternate win conditions. Okay, so flips barring into Valor. So chooses not to go with the Valor to Horus route. We'll have plenty of econ and plenty of cards in hand, and it's gonna be tough for Wilco to present much in the way of a defense, as he's going to be denied basically all of the Shadows triggers. We didn't mention it, but we did end up seeing Iron Bank will have its due on Cersei at the end of the turn, kind of like we predicted there. I know Ryan Jones is would probably be somewhat annoyed, as I am, that you can't use Iron Bank in taxation. Would be so good if you could. I mean,
What?
it's a good card, but it would be much better if you could
Oh,
use it
right,
in
because then you
taxation.
could save the gold.
Yes. Wilco would be up 6 gold here, which would be a lot more manageable.
Are you like the thing is for this spot here, like the way that Wilco was setting that play up? Are you just supposed to Dohyrus yourself there?
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe you just don't care, right? But I guess like Corin and Hob are the two characters you don't want to necessarily lose.
Right. I like the barring into the Valor here. It really means that Wilco is probably not defending hardly any of the challenges this turn, and you're going to basically put them on death's door for next turn.
That's fair.
Aged Craftsman is definitely an interesting include in this deck. It only has 8 targets that it hits off of. And I'm not the math guy when it comes to these things, but I know that 8 is lower than I think most of the people I go to for that information would advise. Yeah, especially when we know Rhymegate is already in hand and there's Roenvelt in play, was actually uh, just 6 targets there. But I guess the deck's pretty small at this point, so Dragon Glass Dagger gives us an intrigue icon on the Shadow Tower Mason. And I think that I think Wilco just has to eat 3 challenges here. That's
Just gonna. So Daniel will end up at what, 12? 3 unopposed plus power.
correct. So how does Wilco get back in this game?
See, that's a question. That's a question I don't know how to answer because I haven't played the game enough. To me, it looks like that he's dead, right? Like That's how I see it.
Very close to being dead. I would assume that Wilco will flip trade routes next turn,
And just try and.
um, and just try to do what they can. I mean, the the uh, the important thing to note here is that the renown that was in play is now dead and
That's
gone.
true.
So if you can, and you have no power on your house card. So if you're going second and you're limiting your opponent to just making normal challenges and you're defending them or interacting with them in any sort of meaningful way, and they don't see the wall, like you could theoretically stall this game out a few more turns. They don't. Night's Watch isn't, traditionally doesn't have the closing speed like some of the other factions have if they don't have the wall in play. Obviously, if Correas slams the wall next turn, we have a different ballgame. And for Correas, um, honestly, could just see the second riddle come down, copying the trade routes. I'm not really sure what this rationing is in the plot line for, but I don't have time to really think about it too much. Looks like the Canada versus Greece game is finished up. I'm not sure who won though.
Uh, Ivan, you want to tell us who won? Canada won. Cool.
And that was
With amazing start. I think that was great. I think they were playing Gridger Reigns.
Greyjoy Reigns versus
Sea of
Targaryen.
Blood.
Indeed. Okay, so they choose to go with March to the Wall. That's actually that's Daniel got leveled there a little bit. I definitely think that Wilco's flipping trade routes there, so I am flipping
Riddle.
Riddle into that, and he gets leveled a little bit with the March to the
I
Wall.
I take it back. The Targ Sea of Blood beat the Greyjoy Reigns.
Oh, okay,
Francis was playing Targ Sea of Blood.
gotcha.
That's actually pretty sick. So this is like one of those things that I think happens more from open lists because it's one of those things. It's like he knows I have trade routes,
Right.
and I know that I know that he knows that I have trade routes. So I'm gonna flip Marched.
Yeah, I love it. I love the open lists. I think they make for really dynamic games.
I
I,
like I
I
said, I'm not gonna. This is kind of a dead horse at this point too, but
sure.
I definitely like both. I understand both sides of the argument. But I definitely have had people. I think people have realized that it's not as bad as they thought it would be. Is really what
Sure.
I'm seeing.
I think when you rely on like the surprise factor, that sort of like gotcha moment in order to win, I don't know. There's something less satisfying about that to me.
That's fair. I will say that I think Nico brought this up to me, that having just the plot lines revealed in terms of like scouting reasons, like in like a real tournament like that's mostly what you're gonna scout. Um, like in terms of like at a paper tournament, you can scout plot lines pretty quite easily.
Right.
But like you can't really scout someone's entire deck.
That's correct. Yeah.
So like I could definitely see in a halfway point of having the plots open. That way, if you get streamed, like if I streamed this game right now and everything was closed, like anyone watching gets to see 5 6 plots deep of these players' decks, right?
Sure. I
Like
mean,
that's like a huge disadvantage to being streamed.
yeah, I don't really think the logic extends too far though, because if you're watching someone's stream game, you're also seeing the contents of their deck. Yes, you're not seeing every literal out they have, but it's just you're at a disadvantage if you get streamed, and we wanted people to want to be streamed. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, I
Yeah,
think.
basically, which is awesome. Like I think the community has really enjoyed the content, and I've gotten a lot of positive comments about the event. So I'm pretty happy with how everything is coming out. As the event continues on and we get more and more really cool marquee matchups, I think it'll be even more fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
We need Team USA to rally though. Team,
Oh man. Yeah, it's looking rough. We've got a couple really difficult matchups ahead of us as well.
you guys need to just win what four out of the next 5, easy.
We're gonna have to win. We're gonna win some games. We're gonna have to win some games where we're definitely dogs, as far as the matchups are concerned. But it's
That's
a long
fair.
tournament. It's 5 rounds,
Yeah, 3-2
Swiss,
it's
and
So
and I
it's not
think
not the most difficult cut in the world, but still a hard field.
well, the field is incredibly intense. I mean, you have your typical Thrones tournament. You're definitely going to have a mix of skill level and competitiveness, and I think that the the the
I would say the baseline skill level in this tournament is still going to be way higher than your average Swiss, though,
oh, absolutely, that's what
because this is
that's
like
what I'm
every
saying.
country sending players that are good. They're just sending good players, right? Like that's the point.
Right, the curve is definitely a lot closer to the mean here in this tournament. um,
But the cool part about being a team tournament is you can pick each other up. Where like if USA rallies and wins this, then the 3 people who lost don't feel nearly as bad, right?
right, yeah. So we've got we had an Ari that came in during the marshaling phase, which is pretty interesting. As well as Drag Glass Dagger. On the other side, just a Lion's Gate, and we've got the Cersei coming back into play,
To
um,
block this challenge,
presumably to defend the entry challenge here.
Bowels against 2 gold. Okay.
Yeah, gotta make big plays this turn. I don't think you can really afford to continue to try to just get
Oh, Queen's Assassin is pretty sick here.
very nice.
If you're Daniel, what do you kill with? What do you decide to kill?
It's pretty tough, but I think it's got to be Ari.
And then do you do your military challenge with the raiding party to kill the Queen's Assassin?
Correct. Yeah, I think that's got to be the play. And if that's the case, if they do choose to kill the Ari here,
Well, the thing is, if you don't kill the Aerie, the Cersei just blocks, right? Like this challenge isn't
right?
going through. Like if you kill your ranging party,
No,
this challenge isn't going through.
no, you have to kill the Ari unless your play is to like kill the ranging party, put the Ari back in hand, and then Valor your opponent's Cersei off the board next turn.
Oh, sure.
Uh, is there thought to actually defending with the? Okay, because I think you might actually want to defend here with the Queen's Assassin. Because then you kneel out the Haunted Forest.
Oh, true, true. And you get
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Actually, I think you're right.
They're actually not going in for the military challenge here anyway, so it may not matter. This makes sense. I mean, there is a power to be claimed off of this, which would get him to 14 if it's unopposed. So you
You should
almost have
probably
to.
block this, right? Yeah.
Almost have to. Yeah.
Ivan was saying he would have killed the party and then jumped Aerie for military. with 6 gold in your pool, that's also not bad.
Yeah, Daniel definitely valuing the power challenge here. Just wants to end the game. The longer the game goes, the more likely it is that Wilco will have to find a way to stabilize. Especially since Daniel has been unfortunate in not finding the wall yet. Both riddles are gone now for Correas, and we'll almost certainly be seeing trade routes coming down from Wilco next turn. Oh yeah, I forgot that we did have the recruit from the dungeons and shadows.
And with the haunted forest, it's actually stronger.
That's correct. So it's actually going to win this intrigue challenge.
Hell yeah, recruit from the dungeons finally coming out of shadows. I can cancel that, right? I believe so, right? It's a triggered ability. Alchemist Guildhall should be able to cancel.
I think so. Oh, it has the
Oh, it
shadows.
has the shadows keyword.
Got him. Got him. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a fair assumption. Sometimes Iron Throne,
especially with newer cards,
doesn't have things coded in. They do a really good job. I did notice the other day that Pyromancer's cache is
still bugged.
not.
Yep, you gotta manually anneal your thing and then just type draw. It's like not it's just annoying. It's like not that hard to manual.
No, it's fine. It's just funny because the cards went out forever. I'm not sure that there might be something to do with the coding that makes it difficult. I don't know.
Okay, so Daniel goes up to 14 power here.
Yep.
What? So we have Valor and Trade Routes left for Wilco.
That's correct. Yeah, Valor and Daharas.
Yeah, so Daharas doesn't help you here if you're Wilco. You could flip it just so it doesn't hurt. You don't have to Valor yourself, right?
Well, you can. I think you have to flip the trade routes here. You don't have a power on your house card, so you've just got to find a way to sort of flood the board. I am a little bit surprised we didn't see the Lion's Gate being triggered there, but I suppose they would have had to discard a card. So here we have the rationing coming in.
I don't understand what
I think he just wanted to play his highest remaining initiative flop.
Oh, sure. Now does rationing stop Haunted Forest from kneeling? Oh, it's forest, never mind.
I'm pretty sure all that rationing does against Wilco's deck is prevent poison coin. And
yeah, that sounds about right.
It does prevent pinch of powder as well. And Gunther. So it actually does have some value.
I mean, there is a pinch sitting on the ranging party, so.
Yeah.
I love how pinch of powder is a weapon. I didn't even notice this before. I guess they gave it weapon so it could be used on all these characters that have no attachments except weapon, right?
Right. I suppose you weren't playing when Raider of Pike was not on the restricted list, were you?
I was actually, and okay. I wasn't playing, but I played Coralic Highburns.
Okay.
Which was like the team event, the team unified event.
Yes.
And I was given Greyjoy when it was right when the Greyjoy box had come out, so I got to play Raider from Pike and Pinch of Powder.
Yep. That's all there is to say.
Yeah. So someone explained to me the interaction that the dash was a 0, and I'm just like, this seems really dumb. However, I played that whole tournament. I played 5 rounds of Swiss. And like the first 3 rounds of Swiss, I like either didn't play pinch or like I didn't realize that pinch went back to my hand because I'm used to playing L5R. So I didn't realize that attachments that didn't have the word terminal went back to your hand. So I was just discarding my pinch of powders.
Right. That's pretty silly.
But yeah, you could just like pinch their whole board, right? Like you just throw all your pinches on there, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that card's on the restricted list. Like real talk, all they had to do was, if they were to do errata, they just have to functional errata that card, right? And just change the way it works with pinch of powder.
Yeah, they really are opposed to it. It seems like.
Well, they don't have to worry about it for much longer.
Indeed.
So, really? Marshall's Milk's begging brother. Oh, and then Yorin.
Yeah.
What do you Yorn the Sparrows here? Oh,
No,
Alchemist Guild Hall, sick.
you're getting guild hauled for sure, but
Yeah. So Sparrows actually was a really big play for Wilco here.
absolutely, because you can put it because you put it on a 7 card and not your own faction card. It actually basically means that a power is like disappearing from the game if the begging brother were to die. Guild hauling the Yorin is pretty big. They're gonna have to get the guild hall back into play so that Correas doesn't just win by valoring and triggering Benjen next turn.
You could Guild Hall that, right?
That's what I'm saying. So they have to just make sure they have the guild hall in play going into the plot phase next turn. But yes, you can absolutely guild hall the Benjen trigger. So we see the Circe engine is basically locked in here.
No cards in
Correas,
hand for Daniel, basically.
yeah, Correas really needs to close this game out. Because they're not going to have much in the way of threats going forward outside of what they draw in the draw phase.
Ivan, I know you're watching. Make sure that you have VODs turned on for your stream. I don't know if you've streamed before, but Buzz just reminded me that it's not on by default.
Yeah, I really dislike that that's the case, but it is for some reason.
So I mean, worst case scenario, your couple of recordings today didn't get done, but like I would hate to have like the whole week go by and then your videos are gone.
So that rhyme gate we saw off the exchange of information finally sees the light of day.
Yep, in
Too
the
bad it's
graveyard.
just getting discarded.
In the bin.
Yeah, really not doing a lot in this game other than maybe being like a halter trigger at some point. But
Yeah, perfect. I've been saying he's downloading them. Perfect. As soon as you get the YouTube links, shoot them over to me and I'll add them to the playlist. Oh, second copy of
second
Sparrows.
Sparrows.
Oh man, is this the
What?
turn here? Is this the turn by Wilco?
How sick would this be if he stabilizes here?
He needs a clever feint here. Like, you clever
He's got
feint?
28 cards left in his deck. He's got to have clever feints.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to. Mathematically,
Mathematically, it's very unlikely that he doesn't have at least one, but it's still possible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Begging Brother is a 7 card.
Oh, it absolutely is.
What other 7 cards does he have? That's the real question.
That's probably it. Yeah.
That's aggressive to be playing Sparrows. I guess only 2 copies, whereas Tyrell's Gate being the 7 is really really dumb. I guess he could have played Star Sept also, like.
Right. Not a big fan of that card, but it is an option. So looks like probably just going to limp in. This is I'm not entirely sure this power challenge is buying you a whole lot. Making a big power challenge. Interesting. This is very curious to me.
So if you leave it unopposed, it puts a power card on their faction, or puts a power on their faction card.
Well, yeah, and if they win the power challenge, it's doing that. But it's not we're yes we're basically putting a power into play here. Okay, so they are going to defend. They actually aren't going to let them get the unopposed. So
Mythlama saying probably has feint. Yeah, I mean it would make sense. Recruiter from the dungeons goes back to shadows. Gains a power.
it almost has to be feint because you really need to be defending these challenges on the way back.
So you can get. No, doesn't he lose? Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't. But like he's gonna have to kill one of the sparrows. Because if you do military first, I guess we don't know what the last shadows card is. Actually, I take it back. Um. So theoretically, if Daniel got all of his challenges through unopposed, he would win.
Well, he's not going to get the intrigue through unopposed,
Yeah,
and I'm assuming that Wilco has a way to defend the power challenge. And if he's clever feinting here, it's possible he could be siphoning off 2 more power with sparrows.
that's true.
The real question is what's dying to this military challenge, though.
It is the Queen's Assassin,
Okay.
which leaves the door open for
A
the.
little awkward here.
That's
Yeah,
gotta be a tell, right? Like that's just a huge tell.
it has to be. Yeah. Okay. So we finally see Tyrion.
So how does this card work? It
So
basically gives you an assault from the shadows trigger. Is that what I understand?
yes.
Where you can put any card into shadows.
Hmm.
Okay.
Non-event, or rather, yeah, another card.
Oh, it's
So
not events.
no,
Okay.
no, no. You can place anything into shadows, but just when a non-event comes out of shadows, so including itself.
Oh, okay. So he put the sparrows into shadows, and then he
Hmm.
sparrows again, and then he blocks. I would be shocked if there was not a clever feint here.
There really needs to be.
I guess there technically doesn't need to be, right? You can flip to.
Here it comes. I mean, you can, but it seems pretty bad for you.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Faction card is knelt. We're just choosing targets here.
Oh,
How
okay.
deep do you want to go? How far in do you want to commit to this clever feint? Like, is your opponent priced into Valoring? Because
No,
Valoring to
I like this. I think this is correct. So what happens is you flip Doharis, and if your opponent flips Valor, you just select no one.
correct. Yeah, I like this too. It's kind of like a half measure. Because your
Because
opponent's not
your
winning.
Doharis is gonna
Your
be
opponent's
good.
not winning by flipping Valor here because you have the guild hall for the Benjamin. 14 isn't 15, even if you didn't.
Well, okay. So basically, Daniel takes this opportunity, knowing that he's gonna give Valor to Valor, flip the same Valor.
Yeah.
The problem is that Daniel's plot deck for a Wars deck is really awkward with double calling the banners. His last 3 plots are calling, Valor Morgulus. And like you can generate a lot of gold with those callings, for instance, like if the board gets big again, but like you don't have any cards.
Right.
So in the draw, no, never mind. I was gonna say in the draw step we could play a card, but he doesn't have any gold.
Yeah, unfortunately, the gold roads only work in the challenges phase. Okay, so the wall has come down, so we have inevitability here, which is really what because it looked like Wilco had turned the corner, but this wall is going to just add a new sort of board texture that
We're
Wilco is
playing
going
a
to
new
have to
mini
deal with.
game.
Indeed.
So if Mandinmore enters the play and you don't have 2 cards in your hand, do you have to kill a character?
So the way that it works is you have to choose to kill a character, or if you choose not to kill a character, you discard 2 cards. So like if you don't have any characters to kill, nothing happens. Does that make sense?
So you have okay. So you choose to kill a character or discard 2 cards. If you don't have any
Yeah. So
characters,
so exactly. So you choose to kill a character, right? Like,
yeah.
and if you don't have any characters, you still the second part doesn't happen, right? So you're replacing the kill a character aspect with the discard cards by choice. So if you have no characters in play, the Mandin More doesn't trigger.
Oh, I see.
I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. It's the
Can
way
men?
it's
Well,
the way
so
it's
say what happens if you have no cards in your hand?
Oh well, then I believe you have to kill the
Oh,
character.
unless he or she discards. I see.
Mhm. Okay, well, things have gotten interesting.
So Queen's Assassin kills Benjen, and we see the Guildhall cancel the ability.
Yep.
Now we are just gonna kneel at the wall here.
Yeah, things have officially completely swung back into Wilco's favor. Correas was very close to closing that game out, and even it seems like the wall just showed up. About 2 turns too late, probably. Maybe even just 1 turn too late.
What does Wilco flip into this upcoming Valor Morgulis?
Your own Valor, or wait, no, excuse me, Wilco. What does he have left?
No, he reset his plot deck.
Oh, he's got his everything.
So he has Morgulis,
Probably
Riddle, 2 trade routes, Marched, and Forgotten Plains. I guess you can flip Marched.
probably marched just to march your Cersei.
Your Cersei, yeah.
Okay, looks like we have a misclick. So they'll probably be sorting this out.
Yeah, so generally speaking in tournament games like this, I usually let the players figure it out, and then if they want to appeal, if there's a disagreement, I will step in. But I generally try and let the players figure this out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if they can't come to a conclusion on their own, somebody else can step in. But
Yeah, basically. Looks like Daniel is just saying it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Intrigue challenge coming through. My boy recruit from the dungeons. Wait, recruit's just gonna block all of these? Yeah. Thanks for the kind words, Neimer. I'm super happy that the community has really embraced the event, and I'm really enjoying casting the games.
Yeah, this recruit is really doing work this
Doing the
turn.
Lord's work right now.
keeping Daniel's hopes of winning this game afloat.
Oh, because it's a reaction to losing the challenge, you
Exactly.
don't have to claim it
Yeah.
to. Oh, okay, and here
Okay,
comes
so we are going to get the guild hall.
no, Guild Hall doesn't work. The card has
Oh, yeah,
shadows.
yeah, exactly. We've already gone over this, but
Does discard the last card from Daniel's hand though?
dead Hob, right?
Yeah,
Hob
dead
is
Hob.
already dead, so
So we're gonna kneel the wall out to 13. Do we have another feint here?
but like you said, we're really seeing the effects of the decision for Daniel to play more enablers for the crow as a tricksy bird as opposed to ways to generate card advantage, whether that be like a second exchange of information
Oh,
or counting coppers or
yeah,
the
yeah,
like.
exactly. I know Daryl or Daryl and Colt are both very big proponents of counting coppers.
It's interesting the spot that counting coppers has in the meta now. It has for the existence of the game been one of the more commonly played plots, but it's probably at an all-time low currently. And I'm not quite plugged in well enough to know why that is.
Maybe someone in chat can posit their opinion. We have some pretty great players in chat, so
Absolutely, we do.
okay. So if you're flipping Morgulis here, we didn't feint, we didn't Iron Bank, so you just flip March here, right?
You have to, yeah. I'm assuming that Wilco didn't because they don't have it. I think it's a pretty clear, pretty clear feint if you have it.
Yep. Yeah. So here's the marched. Now, what do you marched? Oh, he marches Mandan. Okay, interesting. That was what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask, do you march Mandan or do you march Cersei? Okay. Question on Sparrows. To trigger its ability, you must have the 7 character, correct? Or location.
Let's see. I believe
Ivan in the chat
so.
saying yes. That
I
would make
believe so.
sense.
You can have like another sparrows, but the first sparrows won't trigger.
Okay. Because they're the 7. Okay.
Right. So yeah, so marching the Mandan actually kind of makes sense. We already have a Cersei in the discard pile. There's still 2 Mandan left in the deck or in hand or potentially in shadows.
Nymer is saying that Manon you need Manon so you can kill the shadows dude from stopping the wall from kneeling.
That makes sense. Wow, really interesting game. Um, basically, we went all the way to the edge
This game
for
is, I think, a
Wilco.
really great example of what I like to call playing to your outs.
Absolutely.
Like, it's really easy to get down on yourself and just accept I've lost or whatever. But like Wilco has basically like he figured out what he needed to do to win the game, and then he's also he figured out how to like get to that point, right?
Right.
He went to the razor's edge, right, like opponent on 14, but like he established what his plan was and he stuck to it and he managed to do it. I mean, obviously he has to close now, but it's looking really dire for Daniel.
Right. So we see the third begging brother come down here to give Sparrows something to trigger on.
Yep, and this is where the drain really is going to start happening.
Right. The engine is basically fully churned at this point. Cersei has done her work to get all the cards out of Daniel's hand, um, just relying entirely on the draw phase. And it looks like the draw phase wasn't kind enough. So there are 2 cards in hand. It's possible that they're going to be using those cards to play around uh, the Mandan, but the Begging Brother Gold is gonna
Yeah,
really
the
make it
begging brother
difficult.
stops the this guy, whatever his name is, defender of the wall.
Right? What is the guy's name? I've already forgotten. The recruit from the dungeons.
Yeah, okay. The guy's name is I defend the wall.
Yeah,
That is a pretty sweet interaction because there's a lot of times where like you collect your gold and you're just like sitting there doing nothing, and like if you need like the last couple wall triggers and you don't have a board anymore, like he can get you there.
yeah. It's a really interesting card that I didn't fully understand when I first looked at it. And here we're actually seeing one of the downsides, quote unquote, to wars, um, which is
You're
just
stuck with these plots, right? Oh, Queen's Assassin
right.
comes out.
Yeah,
He's I think you just like clicked it before the trigger went on the stack. Yep,
yeah.
there it is.
So yeah, this is one of the few
Yep,
downsides,
and
and
that's and
session.
Daniel taps.
I
Has
think
nothing
that's
but calling
probably
banners left.
correct. I mean, there's really well, I'm not sure that I don't think there are any outs there. So, yeah, what a game.
That was a really
That's
really sick game.
absolutely
Really well played by both players. Daniel saying he made a mistake. I would imagine so, right? Like I'm sure both players made a mistake not using the
yeah.
recruiter.
It's not. It's. I think this may be going back to the misclick. I'm not really sure. Yeah,
He's saying he should have played the recruiter when he played Manon, so he had to kill somebody else.
yeah,
Oh, right, because this was the Manon with the Airy, right?
yep. Yeah, I could see that, and that is a really important note too. Is I really dislike when I hear people sort of they're giving their bad beat story, or you're hearing about sort of like these game recaps. Is it's all too common to hear someone say that like there's nothing they could have done, you know, which for me just means they think they played perfectly, which is just not. It's not a thing. Like everyone makes mistakes. Every game that you've played, there's always something you could have done more optimally. And I think it's really important and healthy to approach like analyzing like your games from that perspective, and like just trying to figure out where in the margins you could have made that game more winnable.
Sweet game for sure.
For sure. All right, well,
So that's gonna be all the games I think for tonight. If there are any more that pop up, the other
yeah,
commentator is Mr. Alex Black, representative of Team USA and pretty cool guy. Got me got teaches me things about Thrones.
yeah, thanks for having me on. I
Yeah,
know
it's,
with
it's it's much nicer to do a cast with two people than solo casting, especially since like I don't know that much about the game. It's easier for me to like bounce ideas off you.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's with most of Europe probably going to bed soon. I imagine this will probably be winding down
Yeah, there's
for
only
the evening, but
two countries on our time zone,
I
really.
think there are more than that.
Oh, the
It's
South American countries are on our
yeah,
time zone.
there's Canada, there's the US,
There's
there's
Chile,
Brazil,
Argentina.
Chile. There's actually quite a few. It's possible that we could have more than we realize. But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. Thanks for having me on, Anil, and
Yeah, no
maybe
problem.
later in the week
Yeah, sweet.
can come back on again. So
Good luck on your match. When you try to play.
yeah,
I'll try and cast all the
thanks.
U.S. games if I can because those at
Yeah,
least
for
I have
sure.
the time zones for.
Absolutely. All right,
All
bye
right,
everybody.
all right, later.